My name is Stephen. I'm 53 years old, and for 26 years, I believed I was doing the right thing by staying in my marriage. From the outside, we probably looked like the perfect couple. Two parents, a stable home, kids growing up with both mom and dad under the same roof. But the truth is, our relationship was never balanced. I gave, she took. That became the pattern almost from the beginning. My wife was the kind of person who believed the world owed her something. Everything revolved around how she felt, what she needed, what she wanted. And somehow, no matter how much I did, it was never enough. What's strange is that I didn't see it clearly back then. I had grown up with a narcissistic mother. So to me, this dynamic felt familiar, pleasing someone who was impossible to please, trying harder every year, hoping that eventually things would get better. For a long time, I told myself this was just what marriage looked like. Two imperfect people figuring things out. But deep down, something inside me was slowly wearing out, and then one day, everything shattered. My wife had an affair, not a one-time mistake. It went on for months, and the worst part wasn't even the betrayal itself. It was the things I heard her say, words no man should ever hear from the woman he loves. I remember the day I found out. It felt like someone had pulled the floor out from under my life. For months, she had been talking to another man. Secret messages, phone calls, late-night conversations that had nothing to do with our marriage. When the truth finally came out, I felt something inside my chest collapse. The kind of pain that makes it hard to breathe. There were nights I honestly believed I might have a heart attack from the stress. My body felt like it was under constant attack, but despite all that, I stayed. Most people would probably ask why. The answer is simple. My kids, at that time, they were still growing up, and I was terrified of what divorce would do to them. So instead of walking away, I convinced myself that I could fix things. I told myself marriages survive worse. I told myself people make mistakes. And most of all, I told myself that if I tried hard enough, I could save our family. Looking back now, I realized something painful. I didn't save the marriage. I just delayed the inevitable. The affair eventually stopped, at least on the surface, and life slowly returned to something that looked normal. We raised our kids, we paid the bills, we went to family events and holidays. From the outside, we probably looked like a couple who had survived a rough chapter. But inside me, something had changed. Trust doesn't come back easily once it's broken. Every time she picked up her phone, a thought would appear in the back of my mind. Every late night, every unexplained message. Even when nothing was happening, my brain had already learned to expect betrayal. And the hardest part was this. I never got the one thing I needed, real remorse. She admitted what she did, but it was always followed by excuses, or explanations, or subtle ways of turning the blame back toward me. According to her, the affair didn't just happen. I had somehow contributed to it. That was the moment I started realizing something about our relationship. Accountability was never really part of it. Over time, something else started to fade in our marriage. Not the sex, not the routines of daily life, but emotional intimacy, the kind of closeness that makes two people feel like they're truly on the same team. After the affair, something inside me quietly shut down. I could still function as a husband. I could provide. I could help run the household. But the deeper connection, the vulnerability, the warmth that makes a relationship feel alive, It slowly disappeared, and I didn't even realize it was happening at first. When someone breaks your trust that deeply, part of your mind starts protecting you. You stop opening up. You stop giving parts of yourself that might get hurt again. My wife noticed the change eventually. She would say I was distant, cold, emotionally unavailable. Maybe she was right, but what she never understood was this. You can't destroy someone's sense of safety and then expect them to keep loving you the same way. That's not how human beings work. Trust is fragile. Once it's shattered, it rarely returns in the same form, and our marriage was slowly becoming something else. Not a partnership, more like two people maintaining a structure for the sake of stability. For many years, that structure held. We raised the kids together, and to be fair, in many ways we did a good job. They grew up in a home with two parents who were present, two parents who supported them, two parents who genuinely loved them. Looking back, that part of my life still means everything to me. If staying helped give them stability during those years, then maybe it wasn't a complete mistake. But the cost of that stability was something I didn't fully understand at the time. I was slowly losing myself. When you spend decades trying to keep peace with someone who always takes more than they give, it changes you. You become quieter. You stop expressing needs. You learn that asking for emotional support usually leads nowhere, and eventually you just stop asking. Years went by like that. We functioned, we cooperated, we even had moments where things felt good. But underneath it all, something fundamental had been broken for a long time, and neither of us really knew how to fix it. Maybe if we had gone to therapy years earlier, things could have been different. Maybe if we had both done the hard work back then, we could have rebuilt something stronger. But life doesn't move backward. 2 years ago, she finally ended the marriage, after 26 years together. When she said it, I wasn't even shocked. In some strange way, I think both of us knew the relationship had been running on fumes for a very long time. Still, hearing the words out loud felt like a punch to the chest. 26 years. That's an entire lifetime. A whole history of memories, routines, shared experiences. And suddenly, it was over. At first, I thought I would completely fall apart. But something unexpected happened. Instead of anger, what I mostly felt was exhaustion, like a man who had been holding a heavy weight for decades and was finally allowed to put it down. The divorce itself was painful. There were financial consequences, there were logistical challenges, and there were moments when I wondered if I had wasted the majority of my life. But as the months passed, something slowly started changing inside me. Distance has a strange effect on clarity. When you step away from a relationship that lasted decades, you begin to see it differently. Not just the good parts, but the patterns you ignored for years. One of the hardest realizations was understanding how much damage that affair had actually done to me. At the time, I convinced myself I had moved past it. I told everyone we had worked through it. But the truth is, some wounds never fully heal if they're never properly addressed. The betrayal didn't just hurt my feelings, it changed the way I experienced intimacy. My ability to be emotionally open had slowly dried up, not because I wanted it to, but because part of me had learned that vulnerability could be used against me. That realization was painful, but it was also important because for the first time, I stopped focusing only on what she had done wrong, and I started asking a different question. Why did I stay so long? Why did I tolerate behavior that slowly destroyed my sense of self? Those were uncomfortable questions, but they were necessary ones, because if I didn't understand my own role in the dynamic, I was at risk of repeating it someday. Growth usually begins with honesty, even when that honesty is painful. Over the past 2 years, I've done a lot of thinking, more thinking than I probably did during the entire marriage. And one thing has become very clear to me. Love alone isn't enough to sustain a healthy relationship. Respect matters, accountability matters, and emotional responsibility matters. Without those things, love slowly turns into something else: resentment, exhaustion, distance. For a long time, I thought staying meant strength, that enduring pain for the sake of family was the noble thing to do. But now I understand something different. Sometimes real strength means knowing when a chapter of your life is over, even if that chapter lasted decades, even if walking away feels terrifying, because staying in something broken can damage you in ways you don't even realize until years later. And the truth is, no relationship should require you to slowly erase yourself. Today, my life is very different from what it was 2 years ago. It's quieter, simpler, but also more honest. I've had time to rebuild parts of myself that I didn't even realize were missing: confidence, peace, a sense that my life actually belongs to me again. I don't hate my ex-wife, and I don't live in bitterness. What happened between us is simply part of my story now. A long chapter that taught me some very hard lessons about boundaries, respect, and self-worth. But I also know something with absolute certainty. If she came back today and asked for another chance, I couldn't do it. Not for any amount of money, not out of nostalgia, not even out of loneliness. Because once you grow beyond a relationship that broke you, going back would mean betraying yourself all over again. And I've already done that once. If you're listening to this and going through something similar, I want you to remember one thing: healing takes time. Clarity takes time. But eventually, if you're willing to be honest with yourself, you will find your way forward. And the life waiting for you on the other side might be more peaceful than anything you left behind.